right, I got my man Alex here. This is John Huffman Speaks, episode 2. We had Keith Rummel in the studio last episode. He came and dropped nuggets, so but I know guys like you, you're successful. I love your social media, and the cool part, Alex, is we met at Keith's gym.
Hey, that is true.
Sparring. I think the first time we were doing drills, and then I think the second time we kind of sparred, and that's when the connection happened.
True.
Right? Because there's nothing like connecting with each other after punching each other in the in the face. So yeah, me and Keith were talking last week, and we both came to the conclusion that a lot of successful people are at Keith's gym. There's a lot of people that are doing big things. And I asked Keith, I was like, why do you think that is, Keith? And he said, man, entrepreneurs and guys that are at high levels, they like risk, they like challenges. So what better challenge than having another man throw punches at your face and
I
try
get
not
goosebumps.
to get exactly.
I'm like,
yeah. So, man, tell us a little bit about you, man. I know you're a pilot, man, and so what do you got going on right now?
sure. So I'm originally from Spain,
Okay.
and I moved to the U.S. when I was 17 to pursue my dream of becoming a pilot,
Heck yeah.
because I knew that's what I wanted to do since I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
Literally, every toy was an airplane to me.
Yeah.
So if it was a car, the car would fly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like Back
So-
to the Future.
The problem is, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it's a blessing. But when I was growing up in Spain, a lot of people doubted me. And that's because I wasn't good at school. I had horrible grades. Actually, over there, you graduate your sophomore year.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when you are in your sophomore year, you take a placement test.
Okay.
So you kind of put your grades and different information in this test, and it tells you what you should do in the future. And this thing said that I qualified to be a plumber or a carpenter. I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
but I wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So I went to my teacher and I said, I don't want to do these things.
Yeah.
I want to be a pilot. That's what I want to do. And I swear to God, this teacher looked at me in the eye and started laughing.
Wow.
So I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna do?
And here you are flying.
So I was, man, that
fuel.
it was a bunch of fuel. I mean, I said, fuel,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
Right.
And when I was 17, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go to the US and I'm gonna pursue my dreams and I'm gonna prove you all wrong. And that's my fuel, man.
And he's doing it, dude. I love watching your social media. I'm like,
Hey.
where's this Joker at now? Standing in front of planes. I think that's, I teach adolescents that are in trouble. I teach people that deal with drug addiction or just got out of prison and things like that. And I always tell them, God's called me here to take your excuses, because you can do that. You can either have those, places and times in your life where people doubted you. I always say my pedigree is a 3-time loser, terrible childhood. And I didn't let my pedigree dictate where I went. And I still have those teachers. Mrs. Davis is one of them in my head when I don't want to get out of bed, or that 4:30 goes off and it's like, I got to go today and I got to be somebody today. And I don't want to be somebody. I got that teacher's voice in my head going, John Huffman, you're going to be that guy. I remember there was a lady in my apartment complex that told her kid, her husband, her ex-husband at the time was a sheriff. And she said, that's the people that keep your daddy busy, and it's like, and she had some, unfortunately I took a path for a little while that was that long, but it's those people I never forget about.
I get it.
Because when my fire starts dimming out, I take that gasoline, and I just fuel it, man. So, I try to teach people that too. It's like, don't let what people put on you, their expectations and what they think about you, don't let that dictate who you become, right? So,
Absolutely.
So let's go a little bit, man. Like, so you're 17, right? people told you you're going to be a plumber. They told me I was going to be a construction worker, but now I own multi-million-dollar construction company.
I love it.
So yeah, they were right, but I made it work for me. But so you're 17, you get to the States. So tell me how did you fit in there?
Yeah. So as soon as I got to the States, I started looking for a job.
Okay.
Because my mom was already here.
Oh.
So it was a little bit easier for me.
Yeah.
But my mom said, "Oh, you want to become a pilot? Cool. You have to pay for it."
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good mom.
That's good. No problem. So I was like, let me start looking for a job. So I went to the Naples airport, and I literally went in there and said, "Hey, is there anything I can do here? I don't care. I'll cut the grass. I'll clean the toilets. I don't care what it is. I know that I have to be at the airport." So I actually ended up getting a job before that. What happened is in my high school, Lully High School, there was an aviation program, and I joined the aviation program. And the teacher there was Mr. Alan Davis, and he said to the class, "Hey, I have this airplane. If you guys are willing to wash it, I'll give you 1 hour of flight time for free."
Yeah.
And I was the only one that raised my hand. So he gave me that opportunity, and I went to the Marco Island Airport. I cleaned the airplane, and while I was doing that, I met the owner of a Part 135 company. That's just a charter operator at the field there. And talking to him, he offered me a job, washing his planes in exchange of flight time. So I would work for him for 6 hours, and he would give me 1 hour flight time. So that was how it all started, and just things just started like lining up. For example, a couple months into high school, I went to this career fair, and this guy out of nowhere comes. He's like, "What career are you interested in?" I'm like, "Aviation." "Oh, no way. We have an aviation program here in Lorenzo Walker where you can become an aircraft mechanic, and we're offering scholarships. Fill it up." So I fill it up, and I got the scholarship.
Wow.
So just things started working for me, but I was out there trying to get or putting myself in the positions that I can get these opportunities.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people won't do, man. It's like they feel they're overqualified to wash the plane, clean the toilet, sweep the floor. But because you were willing to do that when the opportunity arose, you were there to maximize that opportunity.
Exactly.
It's huge. There's a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, "Acknowledge the Lord in all your ways, and do not lean on your own understanding, and he will direct your steps." And I always tell people, like, the thing is he will direct your steps, but you got to be stepping for him to direct something. So if you're laying in bed going, "Man, I want to be an airplane pilot, but my mom's going to make me pay for it." It's like, my boy Alex is willing to clean the toilets and sweep the floor.
Anything.
And because he was doing that, he got free hour. He got an opportunity of a lifetime, where the other kids were like, "I'm too good to clean that plane." Right? I'm a goody guy. Like, I'm going to be a pilot when I grow up. I'm not going to clean no plane, or I'm not going to sweep no floor. But here you are, bro.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is my passion is aviation and business. And actually my first business was when I was 8.
Oh, wow.
That's when the PSP came out, and I was like obsessed with it. And I became really good at, different tricks and different things that you could do with it. And I actually wrote a magazine about how to, use it and different tricks and things like that. And I sold it in my school back in Spain.
Let's go.
But since I was a kid, I always had that entrepreneurial bug. So I knew I wanted to do something. And apart from flying, I also wanted to, start a business. And the first thing that I tried was an aircraft detailing business. Because that's kind of like, you see?
Yeah, you started there. Yeah,
that's what I was doing
on day one. Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't work out. Obviously, I didn't have the knowledge and stuff back then when I was 17. But I always try to do different things and learn and watch YouTube videos and talk to other people. And I just started my career flying. Well, I got my private pilot's license. That's the first step. And then from there, I also became an aircraft mechanic, worked through all the certifications and ratings that you need. And throughout that time, I also was delving into entrepreneurship, and I started a marketing company as well. It was called Brand Sparkers. It didn't work out, when I was working as an aircraft mechanic, one of my coworkers said, "Hey, Alex, I know you love business and you're into aviation, why don't you get into aircraft sales?"
Yeah.
That got me thinking. And I started doing research, and I found a program that taught you how to do it. And I joined, and the program was horrible. It was horrible. I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because it was a too.
Yeah, of
But
course.
anyways.
Always.
You know,
But you got something out of it.
I got something out of it.
What not to do.
What not to do. Well, so I started selling airplanes too.
Okay.
You know, it took me a while to sell my first airplane, you know, but I
that's
don't
a
give
different
up.
clientele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it took me like a year to sell my first airplane, but I was on it.
Man, did you guys hear that? It took him a year to sell his first plane. We start a business. He's already failed at 3 businesses, right? Then he takes a year to make his first big sale. We think we can go into business. Some of you guys out there, I'm going to throw some punches at you, you know, got a little hurricane work and now it's drying up and you don't know how to shake a tree and you're willing to throw in the towel. You went at something and you waited a year before you even got a taste of the fruit.
Man. And it wasn't a lot of money. But just once I saw that first sale, I was like,
I'm hooked.
I'm gonna make some money doing this.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been like literally before I came here, I was working on a deal.
Right.
So we just got the aircraft purchase agreement signed on it.
Yeah.
So
I'm addicted to that. Oh, I'm so addicted to deals, bro.
Me too, man.
Like I struggled with addiction a while back, 15 years ago. But it's like I apply. I'm still wired that way. You know what I mean? I'm just that adrenaline of getting people to say yes. And like,
yes,
got them. Especially when they're hard too. And they're like, well, I'm not. It's like, no, I'm going to get you.
Yeah, man. That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is, I know there's a lot of people out there in aviation that want to start businesses.
Yeah.
In the industry. Because like people in aviation, we're just like very passionate about it. You know, it takes to do anything in aviation, it takes a lot of dedication. I mean, for me to become a professional pilot, a corporate pilot, it took me 8 years.
Wow.
Now there's ways that you can shorten that time frame. You know, you can go to like ATP. It's just a flight school. You can get things done in like 2 years. But I just decided to pay as I went. Right. I didn't want to get into debt or anything like that.
Yeah, you're smart.
But a lot of people in aviation are very passionate and they want to start businesses. So I thought that this was a great opportunity, you know, for those people. And the program that I took didn't cut it. Yeah. So I also decided to create my own program.
There it is.
And it's called Aircraft Broker Academy. And it's been live for a year now. And it's been really good, man. Yeah. And now I'm seeing other people selling airplanes. And that, dude. Well, it makes me so freaking happy.
I'm gonna have an airplane by 2030.
Okay.
Right. The next, not even before then, the next 5 years. So 28, 29, I'm gonna have an airplane, right? It's gonna happen. And I was already talking to my wife about you. I was like, I'm gonna get with Alex and figure out maybe we can get one earlier. And I know that he brokers and does this thing. Maybe if we can get him to help us with a charter, that way I can buy it. Hook it into a charter. Am I on the right track?
You're on the right track.
So I can get a charter. So if I'm not using it, I'm still making money on it to pay the plane down. So it's like the one we were looking at was like $6.8 million or something like that.
Do you know the make and model?
I have it on my in my email. But I was thinking about you. I'm like, babe, I'm gonna hook up with Alex. I guarantee he can get us a chart. He can find a charter.
Definitely get you something going, and here in Naples too.
Yeah.
So,
dude, we definitely got to talk because so I want to go to Wyoming. I got to ski Jackson Hole the first time I ever skied, right? So I learned how to ski at Jackson, and we were there for like a week, me and a couple of friends of mine. And then I went to North Carolina last year and skied, and I was like, man, this like their diamond, their black is like the green run at Jackson Hole, and it's just it was so gorgeous. But my wife don't like planes. And to drive to Wyoming is like 3 days there, 3 days back. So I'm like, man, we're gonna waste a week driving. So we was like, let's see what it costs to charter a plane, right? It was like $48,000.
Yeah.
And that's when the light bulb went off. I'm like, you know what? I think I can own a plane quicker than I think I can own a plane. I just got to buy one and then make money off of it because someone's making money off their plane.
100%. I mean, one option that you could do is, you can get the airplane or you can get it through, like an aircraft management company, an airplane that fits their mission as well. And buy it, you own it, and they'll operate it for you in a Part 135 charter company or certificate. And you're not necessarily going to make money,
right?
But it's going to cover the cost of operating the aircraft.
Yeah.
And they're also going to provide the pilots for you.
Wow.
So you can literally call them up. Hey, I want to go from Naples to Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
This day at this time. You just got to show up.
Yeah. And it's covering your costs because you're letting them charter your plane.
Exactly. I mean, there's some people say you make money. Other people say you break even.
I'm okay with breaking even.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I got a freaking plane.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Heck yeah, bro. I don't know, man. I'm crazy, man. And it's kind of like what you were, making this, going back to you, how like you knew you wanted to be an aviation pilot. And even when you were told, listen, whatever social programming they had that spit out, you're going to turn wrenches and unplug toilets for a living. You were like, nah, man, I'm not going to do it. And you spoke that thing. You constantly spoke it. And I try to tell people, this whole manifestation thing and speaking, the word of God is clear. What you speak, you eat of its fruit. Right. So you have to manifest it, but you have to speak it and then you eat of its fruit. See, and that's the thing. A lot of these gurus out here are talking about God's principles, but they're not giving God the glory for it. It's all in the word. It is his principles. It's going to work. And you not even realizing those principles, you did that. You spoke that from the early age. Like you said, you were a kid. If it was a car, you made it fly, right? Like, and you were like, I'm going to be a pilot. And here you are walking that thing out. I'm going to be an owner. I'm going to be a businessman and a pilot. Now here you are walking that thing because you spoke it into existence. You're eating of its fruit. And I just, challenge everybody about that too. Is like, listen to my man. He's literally flying around the world. Like, and again, I'm going to have him plug his Instagram in here so you guys can give him a follow. But this guy's flying around the world. He's living his best life. He's seeing things. And again, his teachers told him it was nothing, but he chose to speak it. He chose to claim it. He chose to walk in it. He chose to take the right steps. And that meant cleaning the toilets, fine. Sweeping the floor, fine. Opportunity arise to clean a jet, fine. And now here you are. And I'm cool with it too, because it's like now I got a friend that me and you used to punch each other in our faces. We probably will continue to do so. But at the same time, now the relationship's being built where I know I'm crazy because I was in a boat one time, right? I was in my boat in the Keys, and I've been wanting this jet. And I just been, thinking about, man, do I really want this? And how can it benefit the kingdom of God? And I started like thinking, and then as I'm thinking all this, I look up and there's this beautiful rainbow, right? There's this beautiful rainbow. And I'm looking at the rainbow. I was like, man, that's so good. And I'm thinking, that's God's promise right there. The rainbow represents God's promise.
Sure.
And then this jet flies through the rainbow.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking about a jet before I ever see the rainbow and how I can utilize it for the kingdom of God. I'm thinking about it. I'm talking to myself about it. Look up, there's a rainbow, and then a jet comes flying through it. And I'm like, man, I'm manifesting it. I'm claiming it. I'm speaking it. One day I will own a jet. And now here we are about a year later, and I'm sitting across someone who literally brokers jets. Like, this thing's real, man.
I 100% agree.
This thing's real.
It's like believing it.
Yeah.
I believed I was a pilot before I even became it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife used to say this all the time. Everybody's going to think we're rich. You got to quit out there. Like, you're on social media. Everybody's going to think we're rich. I'm like, we are. We're rich, right? We're walking in abundance. We're walking in the infinite. And, now the things that I portrayed to be 5 years ago, we're walking in. Now I'm portraying like, no, man, I might not have 10 million in the bank right now, but I got 10 million in the bank. I'm going to walk like I did.
Get it.
So all right, tell us some more, man. So you're here, you're starting a business now, you're broker. So how's that going for you with the brokerage and everything?
It's going really good. I mean, literally before coming here, I was on the phone with one potential buyer on one of the airplanes that we have represented, and we got that agreement signed. So we're going to sell it. Yeah. And the thing is, the crazy part is I actually stopped brokering for about a year.
Okay.
And the reason why I decided to do that is to allocate all that time that I was investing into it to creating the academy. And as soon as I was done with the academy, man, I got like slammed busy. slammed. But yeah.
That's another thing that I'm trying to learn too, is like I consult businesses and I'm always yelling at them for this. And I'm the worst at it. I'm always yelling at people not to do this, but this is what I do. I always say, if you chase 3 rabbits, they all 3 get away.
Yep.
If you chase 2 rabbits, they all both get away. But if you chase 1 rabbit, you catch it, you kill it, you clean it, you eat it, you take the fur, you sell it, you make something of it, you utilize it, and then you move on to your next. And I think that's like proof what you were saying. Like, once I got done with it, I focused on the academy. I
Yes.
built my structure. I built what I wanted to do. That's what I built. And then when I was done with that, boom.
Boom.
And I think that's something I need to learn better, because my wife was speaking to me the other day about, John, the door's there. You're running towards the door the next season of your life. And it's there. It's going to open. But just focus on this season right now and perfecting this season. And then that door will open in time, but you're trying to beat it down. So I think that's a lesson for all of us. So that's encouraging that you said, like, hey, I did the academy, and then boom, I got busy. So then what happened?
Well, right now, what I'm trying to do is create the systems to start hiring people to work with me.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'm the only one that's doing it. But I want to create a team around it.
Yeah.
So, but for that, you have to have systems in place, SOPs.
Yep.
So that's what I'm building right now, because it's crazy. As soon as I was done with the academy, out of nowhere, I mean, I wasn't even doing outreach.
Yeah.
It just boom.
Yeah.
Got busy. And it's pretty hectic right now. So that got my wheels turning, and I'm like, now it's the time to create those systems.
Yeah.
To have a team in place.
Amen.
So that's the next step with the brokerage side of things.
And that's what I teach, processes and systems. And that's really where that's my next door. I want to speak for a living and go in and teach, and just teach everything that I know. And duplicating yourself, that's the hardest thing. You got to document every mistake. You got to document every win. What do you do? And when I go into business, I tell them, like, you sit down in front of the desk, push the power button on, go here. Like, you literally got to break down each thing. Like, this is a pilot. I learned under this, there's a book that I learned under, and they use pilots as an example. They were saying a pilot cannot leave until it checks every box.
Yeah.
He cannot leave until he checks every box. And we got to apply that same ability as a pilot to our businesses. Do not leave until you check every box, because you get so used to doing something that it comes natural. And that's when you make the mistake, because you forget that one box. And the pilot's not allowed to not check the box, because he might leave and take off and not hit a button where the plane goes back down or something of that nature. So they actually use the pilots as a structure for businesses. Just like a pilot has to check every box, we need to learn to create boxes and check every box for our business.
That's crazy you say that, because my academy has like 131 lessons.
Wow.
So it's a lot of information to go through. And I actually decided to create checklist for all my students, because it's a lot of information. A checklist is just simplifies this whole thing. This is your first step.
Yeah.
Get the aircraft description form from the seller. Then you need to draft the exclusive aircraft listing agreement. And I just created a checklist. And I think what you said is so freaking important.
Yeah, man. You don't know how many businesses out there, bro. I've sat in businesses. These guys been in business 15, 20 years, and they don't have a checklist. They don't have anything. In my world, in the blue collar world, they have a saying, just get it done. Just get it done. Getting it done. And the problem is, you have someone that's a sales guy who's acting as a project manager, and a project manager who's acting as a sales guy, or a carpenter or a manager now being a carpenter. And when you really have a checklist and step 1, step 2, and everybody knows their role, things go so much smoother. But we have this misconception is just figure it out. Like, if you need to answer the phone, just answer the phone. And there's times and a place for that, but that doesn't need to be the norm, because that creates what I call controlled chaos. It's controlled chaos. It's crisis management. And see, you're ahead of the game with business, because you don't have the ability to have crisis management in the air, right? It needs to be minimal. So in our world, we can have crisis management and no one dies, no one loses their life, no one crashes, right? So we can have some crisis and fix it and put the fire out. But in your business, there needs to be very, very, very small, if any, error or fire.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we actually have a checklist for not every scenario, but most emergencies. So like we don't even have to think about it. You know, the airplane says, okay, there's an issue. I pull out what's called a QRH, quick reference book, and I just go through a checklist.
That's what you see, dude. I'm telling you, people out there, I don't care if you're an ice cream shop, a stinking burger joint, a construction worker. This right here is pilots operate in the highest level, and they operate off a checklist, right? And why do pilots have to operate on that level with that checklist? Because there can't be error. So if you're in business and you're sick of error, sit your tail down and start creating checklists.
Exactly. Because you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like literally, I just see the message, pull out the QRH, go through it. Obviously, there's certain scenarios where you have to,
use your brain.
You have to use common sense and think outside the box, but everything is there, man.
Yeah. I read a book and he was talking about processes and systems. And he says, I created so many processes and systems that I made it to where for lack of better terms, a dummy could do it. Right. But he said the problem was I had to teach my team that they're allowed to think for themselves because I dumbed it down so much that I only attracted dummies.
Interesting.
So he's like, so when I started hiring, and because I dumbed it down, I had to get the good guys, the thinkers, because the people that didn't want to think loved it. But he didn't have the innovators anymore. Because the innovators, they want to think outside the box and make it better. So he had to learn how to teach his team that, yes, I've dumbed it down, but I still want you to think, So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing too. It's like, man, you want to dumb it down so bad, but then you don't, you dumb it down so good. Next thing you know, you only attract dummies, right? And to give you an example of like McDonald's, right? Like you look at McDonald's, like someone says, I want to work. No one's going to be like, I want to work at McDonald's for the rest of my life. Well, let's talk about McDonald's for a second. Let's talk about Chick-fil-A. Let's talk about them. They're a multi-million, maybe billion-dollar industry company. Who's running it? Teenagers.
Yeah.
Because they've dumbed the systems down so much that a teenager can run it. Right. And I think that's how we got to do it in our businesses. If we take the time and dumb it down, but also give the ability, like you give a pilot, like, listen, we're going to dumb it down for you because we don't want error. But at the same time, we want to attract smart people. And the way that they attract smart people like yourself, even though your teachers didn't know that,
they did not know,
is, hey, this is the sacrifices you got to make to be here, because only smart people are willing to make some of those sacrifices.
I don't even think it's about being smart. I don't consider myself smart.
Yeah.
Usually
smart people don't think they are smart.
Man, I just have a fire in me, man. Amen. I'm just going to go out there and take everything they told me I couldn't have.
Amen.
That's how I operate.
I use the saying all the time, jump off the plane or jump off the mountain, build the plane on the way down.
That's it.
And we were sitting down before the episode, and you said, yeah, just what'd you say? Build the plane or build the wings on the way down.
Like, for example, with the academy or anything I've done in my life, it's I had the idea. I don't even let it sit. I just go and do it.
Yeah.
Like I had the idea of starting the academy. I went to Amsterdam and I had some time there with my dad, and I got inspired.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just got inspired. And when I came back to the US, I got in my computer and I started building this whole thing.
Wow.
And literally, I'm not kidding. I would start 8 a.m. and I would not stop till I went to bed.
Right.
Like around 9, 10. And what I did is I would work 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, take a little break, go on social media, just watch stupid crap, just go through it, get back to it. Yeah. And I'll just continue doing that over and over and over again.
I mean, guys, you just heard it, man. We got to end the episode here, but you heard it from Alex, man. I mean, this guy's traveling the world. He's in a plane, but his method to his madness was action. You thought it, you did it. And a lot of times I think we second guess ourselves. We're second, oh, that's not me. But no, that idea was birthed for a reason, right? Absolutely. And we need to know that, man, that God will birth an idea in us. He has a purpose. He has a purpose for our pain. He has a purpose for our suffering. He has a purpose for all those ideas that we have. And if we would just take the time and shake it off and put extreme action action behind it, we could get exactly what God has intended us for have. But I don't think a lot of us want to put the action behind it. I think that's the differentiator between successful and unsuccessful people, because a lot of successful people aren't, extremely, they don't consider themselves smart. A lot of them don't. They don't. But you know what they've learned? Massive action and smart people around them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think you acquire that go-getter mentality? Do you feel like that's something you're born with? Do you acquire that?
That's good. Man, for me, I just always been 100 miles an hour.
Okay.
I've always, my wife's like, did you ever think we would be here? And I'm like, yeah, like since 5. Like I always visioned the white picket fence. I've always, like you said, you've always envisioned. So, and I believe this, and this is why I say I take people's excuses away. I believe everybody has dreams and aspirations. They all have their white picket fence. Your white picket fence was a pilot, right? Mm-hmm. My white picket fence was speaking to hundreds of thousands of people, really? Right? So everybody has their picket fence. It's just the difference if you're going to put action behind it or not. I wanted to start a podcast. Who does a podcast? Tim. Hey, I'm on the phone. Like I do exactly what you said. I'm literally, the idea hit me in my head on Davis. By the time I got to 951, I was on the phone. Like, I think that's the difference, man, is massive action. But I believe every one of us has dreams and aspirations. But I'm going to rewind for a second. But sure. I also believe that some people's talents, or some people have the ability to be number 2s and number 3s, and they're supposed to be that. You know what I mean? But they miss the mark of operating in a number 2 because they're too busy paying attention and wanting the number 1. It's like we use a terminology in the Christian world. We're the hands and feet of Jesus. Some of us are the hand. Some of us are the foot. And what happens is sometimes you will operate in all of your giftings as a foot, and the foot's needed. It's balance. But when the foot wants to be the hand, that's when the problem comes. So I think that's sometimes what people do too, is like they're called, their dreams and aspirations are what they're called to, but then they want his dreams and his aspirations and not their own.
Interesting. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything you want to say, man? We got to go. We're wrapped up, man. That was a quick 45 minutes, wasn't it, brother?
That was 45 minutes?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, all I want to say is if you have a dream, if you want to do something, go out there and get it. In the beginning, I honestly did not think I was going to make. I mean, I knew I wanted to do something, but I did not believe in myself.
Yeah.
And the only thing I had is that fuel that I got from the people that they told me I couldn't do it. And that's what actually made me take these steps.
Use the fuel, baby.
I don't know, man. I'm not the smartest, but I just go and get it.
Amen.
So that's what you should do too.
So how can they find you? Is there a website, social media? How do we find you?
Yeah, so you can either find me at alex.bengoechea. That's my last name. It's BENGOECHEA. Or for easier, you can also find me in Aircraft Broker Academy. And that's going to be in Instagram.
Awesome. And you guys, man, look us up on YouTube, John Huffman. You'll see this full episode. Also, check me out. If you want me to come and encourage your team or anything like that, go to my website, johnhuffmanspeaks.com. We love you. We appreciate you. Now put some action behind your dreams and aspirations.